Hi everyone. So before we start, we're gonna talk about what we're gonna use, how we're gonna prepare everything, what we're gonna do, and how we're gonna do it, and what tools we're gonna use. Because, for example, when you starting to paint furniture, you might not have a idea and what to use, what brushes to use, how to prepare, and so on, so on. Sometimes the paint can chip off, and you need to know everything about your attachment to the wood. You need to know how to prepare properly, how clean it needs to be, and so on, so on. So my first thing I'm using obviously some sandpaper, which is 120. It will not damage the paper, it will not create such a deep scratches as well when you working on wood stains. uh, if you go deeper than that, with 80 for example or 60 papers, and you want to get something off, then you need to get on with higher papers, using 120, 150, and then the scratches might be visible later. So I'm trying to reduce the scratches by using only 120, softly sanding down this paint. This paint is quite good quality. It looks like it's been oil painted, so I need to sand this down really good to apply acrylic paint as well. So I'm using the sandpaper first, 120, 150, 180, going to 360. You don't need to use, I think, higher than 320 on just a normal furniture. You can go as well with something like 400, but I think 350 for me, that's where it probably ends. Obviously I have a Zinza sealer, which is one of the best sealer products that I've been using. Why? Because first thing is drying very quick. It lets your walls, woodwork, plastic, anything dry within about 15 to 20 minutes. So if you have any stains, please use Zinza a sealer for any walls, ceilings, stains, even sealing some wood, overpainting some old doors. Sometimes it says on the tin as well, the company is talking about you don't need to sand down, you just need to apply the Zinzer straight on top. It's so strong, it seals directly through the materials. So what I usually do, I always sand down whatever happens. If it's walls, furniture, anything, stone, Venetian plaster, anything, I always sand down, and then I have a clear matte background to start off. So don't create yourself problems later on where you think it might dry too quick. You dried it off with a heating gun or something like that. So I think this is the best product to seal some surfaces. I also use normal general primer, which is Dulux for wood, and MDF quick drying primer white, just to touch up some things, which is good. I use different companies of paints, special design companies, acrylics for furniture. They are much better in terms of painting, having better flow. But we're going to talk about later about those paints and these qualities and so on when we paint different furniture. This is more like an arty furniture. So when we know what we're going to use in terms of some primers, because when we sand down some edges, or when we fill some holes, we need to sand down the wood filler, and then we need to touch up with the primer first before we start painting with some colors. So I'm using as well wood filler, which is 2-part wood filler. You need to mix it with a hardener. The hardener makes it will speed up your time. It will dry basically any hole or anything, any cracks. It will dry to a stone hard finish, and it will be completely dry within about 5 minutes. So there's no quicker way or better way to work with this. I always use that even on walls, on small areas, like you have small holes, cracks. I always use the wood filler. You just mix it with hardener. I'm going to show you as well. and that's how you prepare your stuff. I'm gonna stand down everything with sandpaper, fill it with wood filler, sand down the filler, and then apply a primer on some areas or maybe everywhere, and then sand down again and start working with the color. So as soon as I have the color ready, then I'm gonna sand down the edges, and then I'll see more what I'm gonna do with it, what color I'm gonna choose for the furniture, and then I can work on the abstract and creating the masterpiece maybe. So obviously there is some varnishes that I'm going to use later on before I go to resin. You know, finishing off with resin is not just finishing off resin. The paint needs to be nicely sealed, so sometimes I apply just a varnish on top, and then I'll apply a clear resin. Obviously everything needs to dry. You know, I use a lot of dusty brushes, which is always handy when you're working with dusty areas. Obviously hoover and so on. And most important thing, what you need to do and you need to know about painting, not only furniture but also walls and whatever you do with paints, to use pearly brushes. Pearly brushes, they are so amazing. This is the #1 brush in the world. You can have it in different sizes, 2, 3 inch, 1 each. But what pearly brushes do have, they have amazing quality of, like for example, painting the walls. They just can cut perfectly into the areas where you want to go, and they have brilliant brushes. They have brilliant hair. So every single brush is being signed by someone who is doing these brushes by hand. So there's a signature of each person who does the brushes in America. So there is like a history to it, and obviously I've been working with these brushes for more than 15 years, painting walls, some furniture, and I don't even want to change anything. You know, maybe if I would design some new brushes, maybe I will make them a little bit softer, because the acrylics are different than the oil paint what we used to use before. But anyway, everything what I do is enough for me to create a brilliant masterpiece. So also I use mini rollers. Mini rollers are also rollers, like rollers for painting or priming walls or wood or panels. I use microfiber mini rollers. They don't need so much cleaning. They're fine. You know, they don't damage your artwork. They don't. You don't need to clean them so much, and they give you a medium fine finish where you can just roll it off more and more and more and create a brilliant surface to start off. And then you can obviously sand down, and then everything would look completely prepared like you want it. Now, you know, don't jump with higher, longer brushes or longer slaves of rollers, because it's not necessary. You just need you don't need a very thin one, because it needs to get some paint on it. So you need to have some paint on it, and then very softly you know, rolling it out on the surface. So we have everything. We have the sandpaper, we have the primer, we have the wood filler, we have the tape, we have some metallic paints, we have some gold paints, we have some other products, golden leaves, all the colors of acrylics, and there's nothing else to do now than just do the work.